2 engines. 1 bird strike. 34 seconds. On December 29, 2024, Jeju Air Flight 2216 was seconds from landing when a wall of feathers turned a routine approach into South Korea's deadliest aviation disaster. The Boeing 737-800 slammed into the runway belly first, skidded at 165 miles per hour, and exploded into a concrete embankment. Of the 181 souls on board, only 2 survived. Both crew members pulled from the burning tail section. The final moments, captured on harrowing phone footage, show a fireball that consumed families, vacationers, and dreams. This isn't just a crash. It's a mystery that has the world asking, how does a bird strike bring down a modern jetliner, and why did the landing gear never deploy? Right now, as you watch this, forensic teams are piecing together the final report, due anywhere from late 2025 to early 2026. But South Korea isn't waiting. Families of the victims are camping outside government offices, demanding answers. Why did the pilots declare a mayday for a bird strike, then attempt a landing without wheels? Was it hydraulic failure, pilot error, or something more alarming? Black boxes have been recovered, but the data is so corrupted that investigators are treating this like a cold case. This isn't just about one flight. It's about every time you board a budget airline. It's about the 150,000 bird strikes reported globally each year. And it's about whether the aviation industry has learned anything since the miracle on the Hudson. Because if a flock of birds can turn a $100 million aircraft into a fireball in 34 seconds, what's stopping it from happening again? Bird strikes aren't new. In 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 lost both engines after hitting a flock of geese, but Captain Sully's 42 years of experience turned a potential tragedy into a survival story. Jeju Air 2216 wasn't so lucky. The Boeing 737 is the workhorse of the skies, with over 10,000 delivered since 1967. It's designed to fly on one engine. So why did this bird strike escalate into a catastrophic loss of control? Early reports suggest the starboard engine ingested at least 3 large birds, causing an uncontained failure that sent shrapnel into critical hydraulic lines. But here's where it gets unsettling. The cockpit voice recorder captured the pilots saying they had no gear seconds after the strike. If the hydraulics were severed, the landing gear would fail to extend. Yet, there's a manual override for exactly this scenario. Did the pilots try and fail? Or did they forget in the chaos? Let's wind back to the final minutes. Flight 2216 departed Bangkok, Thailand, at 1:30 a.m. local time, carrying 175 passengers, mostly South Korean vacationers returning from holidays. The 5-hour flight was uneventful until the descent into Muan. At 8:57 a.m., the crew contacted approach control. Weather was clear, visibility 10 miles. Then, at 9:01 a.m., as the plane descended through 1,200 feet, a dense flock of migratory birds, likely gray herons, weighing up to 4 pounds each, smashed into the right engine and windshield. The engine exploded, sending fragments into the fuselage. Passengers later reported hearing a loud bang followed by violent shaking. The pilots immediately declared an emergency and aborted the landing, climbing to 3,000 feet for a go-around. They requested runway 19, opposite direction, but never confirmed gear status. At 9:03 a.m., they began a tight, 180-degree turn. That's when observers on the ground noticed the landing gear doors were still shut. The next 90 seconds defy explanation. With no gear and only partial flaps, the 737 came in fast, 50 knots above normal landing speed. It touched down on its belly just 400 feet from the runway threshold, carving a 2,000-foot groove in the asphalt before veering right. The tail struck a concrete embankment housing the localizer antenna, a structure that should have been frangible, meaning it should break away on impact. Instead, it acted like a ramp, launching the tail and rupturing fuel tanks. The resulting fireball was visible from 5 miles. 2 flight attendants in the tail jump seats were thrown clear and survived, huddled in the wreckage until rescued. Everyone else perished, mostly from impact trauma and thermal injuries. It was South Korea's worst aviation disaster since a Korean air crash in Guam in 1997, and the deadliest on home soil. In the days that followed, shock turned to fury. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport took over the probe, but leaked memos revealed internal chaos. The flight data recorder was damaged, the cockpit voice recorder yielded only partial transcripts. The critical seconds after the bird strike were garbled. Meanwhile, at Muan Airport, investigators found bird feathers and blood in both engines, but the starboard engine showed signs of explosive disintegration. The landing gear lever was found in the down position, but the gear itself was up. Hydraulic lines were severed. Yet, the manual override system, a crank that mechanically lowers the gear, was unused. Was it inoperable? Did the pilots run out of time? Redacted ATC logs show controllers reminding the crew to check gear twice, with no response. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was there a design flaw in the 737's hydraulic redundancy? Did budget airline maintenance shortcuts play a role? Jeju Air, founded in 2005, operates a fleet of 40 737s with a decent safety record, but whistleblowers claim cost-cutting led to deferred repairs. The final report won't come for another 12 to 18 months. But the pressure is unsustainable. In January 2025, the bereaved formed a committee, demanding real-time disclosure. They point to the $37 million compensation fund as hush money. They want to know why a 12-foot concrete wall sat 200 meters from the runway, why the airport's bird control measures, only 2 noise cannons, were deemed sufficient, and why Jeju Air's own checklist for dual-engine failure eerily mirrors the chaos of 2216. Aviation experts like John Cox, former U.S. Airways captain, have called this a one-in-a-billion catastrophe that exposes gaps in training for simultaneous emergencies. The bird strike alone shouldn't have been fatal. It was the cascade of failures, the hydraulic leak, the unlowered gear, the non-frangible obstacle, that sealed the fate of 179 people. Here's the lesson, hidden in the ashes. Every major airline disaster rewrites the rulebook. After Tenerife, we got crew resource management. After September 11th, fortified cockpits. Flight 2216 will likely mandate frangible runway structures worldwide, real-time bird migration tracking using AI, and mandatory simulator training for dual-engine failure on short final. The 2 survivors, both flight attendants, are recovering and have provided testimony that will shape the final report. They recall the head pilot, a 12,000-hour veteran, screaming "Gear up! Gear up," in the final seconds, only to realize it was too late. The payoff is a future where no pilot has to make that choice. But the cost, 179 lives, is a debt the aviation industry will carry for decades. If this story hit you, smash that subscribe button, because we uncover the secrets behind the world's biggest disasters and comebacks. Next episode, we're diving into the $800 billion automotive empire that almost went bankrupt 3 times in 15 years, and the one man who refused to let it die. Think Tesla, but darker. You won't believe how close we came to losing it all. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. Stay curious.